Hi everyone, welcome to our first training session, which is Strategies for Now Responding Positively. I'm Anna Hogg. I'm part of the virtual school team which is here in Norfolk, and today I have the absolute privilege of working alongside Jaz Ampaw-Farr. I'm really excited about today. Welcome back, Jaz. I cheered back in 2013 when I was sitting on my sofa watching The Apprentice. At last, a teacher had finally made it onto The Apprentice. Confession, I am an avid watcher. Earlier this year, I had the fortunate opportunity of joining the virtual school and therefore, as a result of that, being part of the Changing the Narrative conference. I heard Jaz on that day and I left with a real feeling that I could change the world, but far more importantly, I could change what I do and what I say to be more positive.
I love that Anna got up and did rowing. Okay, thank you very much. I got up and had a chocolate biscuit as a cheeky kickstart to Monday. So yeah, rowing is not on my agenda at all. Lots of sugar and fat is. So we've got different routines into getting up. So I see lots of people have written in the box saying hello. That's fantastic. And I want to make sure, because I'm going to be asking you questions as we go along, and I want you to get used to go finding the chat box, popping something in. So I'm going to test you now. I'm going to see how quickly this goes, how kind of quickly, who gets in first. And I want you to write down, what's your ideal thing to eat first thing in the morning? Ideal thing. Just don't filter it. What's your ideal thing to eat first thing in the morning? Pop it in the box. Melon, toast, banana, fruit. Oh, you're so disgustingly healthy, all of you. Granola and yogurt, says Ruth. Like it. You know, I am porridge. Catherine, I'm with you. Mrs. Mitchell, can't beat a bit of porridge. Pancakes, if you can be bothered, yes, to make them. David, peanut butter and toast. Have you tried celery scooped in a peanut butter jar? Oh my gosh, you haven't lived. Celery and peanut butter. I had that in America. It's perhaps an American thing, apparently. Try it, David. It will change your life. That's sacrilege. But it's so good. Hash browns, Fleur, you and my son, Jake, would love it. Back in the old days when we were allowed to hug each other and go to Nando's, when we used to go to restaurants, my son would just, in the morning, he would just have a plate of hash browns. I mean, he loves the stuff. And I do worry about the carb intake, but you know, he just loves it. Okay, brilliant. So you're all very quick off the mark, so that's great. So at any point, if you've got a question, pop it in there. Anna will be on it and we'll be saving those because we're going to have a Q&A time at the end. But also, when I ask something, feel free to respond to it. Pop it in there. I'll pick that up. So can you jump me onto my first slide, please, Anna? This slide, I think, is what I should. One of the ones. Sorry, bless her. You're trying to let everyone in and do my slides for me. You're like.
It's okay. It's called multitasking. We learn as we go.
It's fine. We're going to be talking about that later. So, well, I think when I came to you, I think one of the things I said, or I might have had this slide up, is you are only as powerful as the story you tell. Now, let's not beef any bones about it. That's what my grandma used to say. This story, the story you're writing right now, your 2020 story, is the story you're going to be telling for the rest of your life. Like, there's been a sea change, like a kind of cultural earthquake. And when an earthquake happens, after an earthquake, my nan lived through World War II, and she was saying that you would come up from the subway and there'd be nothing, like no streets. So you couldn't get your bearings. And she said, you know, after an earthquake, a map is useless. You don't need a map after an earthquake. What you need is a compass. You need my compass is my why, my values, my purpose. That's what will make decisions for you. Because everyone's trying to work out, what am I going to do? What did you do last time there was a global pandemic? There's no answers for this, but you've got to be guided by your why. And here's why that's important. Because when you're in an old people's home in 50 years time, however old you are, I'm only 21, so I'll still be kicking around. When you're in an old people's home, you do not want to be the person sat there going, oh yeah, when lockdown happened, I was really scared and I didn't want to get it wrong. So I did nothing, kept my head down, and it was awful. That is not a compelling story. And we are all Generation C. This is especially for the kids, but us too. Generation C could be Generation COVID, Generation Corona, but it also could be Generation Creativity, Generation Change, Generation Compassion, Generation Collaboration, Generation Connectivity, Generation Complexity, Generation Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself. There are so many great words beginning with C, and that is the story you'll be telling You get to choose your Generation C story. Be intentional about it. Don't be accidental about it. Lots of people I hear talking about, you know, when we get back to normal. We had a normal. Lots of the normal we didn't like, but we went along with it because it was the norm. Now we're in this new normal, and we're not going back anywhere. We're going forward to something new and different. Now, I know for like 73% of the population, change is horrific and scary. I'm one of the ones who were like, yeah, let's do it all different. So I'm kind of a seasoned chaos navigator. I know change is hard, but think of it as an opportunity to not rebuild the life before that had all the limitations around it that was holding you back, but to redefine a life on your terms, in alignment with your why. If that was possible, if that was something in this sea change, I don't like the word, what people keep saying, unprecedented. I don't use that. Whenever someone says that, I change it for crazy bonkers. And it's great when they say it on the news, during the crazy bonkers time. Just makes me laugh. But this is so unique. Like, I've had 3 kids. It's like a hobby now. I've had 3. And every time I've had a child, I've noticed this kind of sea changes that I get to redefine. What does life look like now with a baby, with 2 children, with a toddler and a baby, with a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old and a baby, in the way that my husband hasn't had that same opportunity because he's been off for a couple of weeks and then straight back to work. Whereas I have redefined life on my new terms. And I think this is something that we get to do now. And it's different to when, you know, when someone close to you dies. I've had this. It's like your world stops. I mean, it's like a hard stop. And you're on the floor. And at some point you have to pick yourself up because you've got to ring people and tell people and cancel things and arrange things. And because and it seems almost offensive that the world carries on because your world has stopped. And this lockdown has reversed that. So what happened for us is that the world, everything we could just do was that we were carrying on. And that's the big thing I want you to think about, because we are creating who we are in others. And especially for children, especially for teachers, especially for parents, people are scared. People are afraid. People are facing new unknown stuff. And the most important thing is to be okay with not being okay, to be comfortable with discomfort. Because if you can't nail that, this is going to be a really uncomfortable, tricky, and not just that, it's just a missed opportunity. It's a missed chance. So that's what I want you to think about, your Generation C story. Jump to the next slide for me, Hannah. Anna, sorry, I've just changed you into someone else, I know. This is really, I did this for myself. This was my chaos navigation stages. And I think if you were there when I came earlier in the year, I talked a lot about order navigators and chaos navigators. And order navigators kind of, you know, everything they need is around, not everything they need, but happiness is available. Someone is there when things go wrong. Chaos navigators don't have that mindset. They don't have that support. They don't have that system. And I talked about growing up as a chaos navigator and navigating foster care and abusive homes. And yeah, I wasn't seen. And the thing is about now is that we're all navigating chaos. And I celebrate that, because for the children who are expert in, like, one of my biggest things when I was growing up, when I was in foster care, my biggest frustration more than anything else, the thing that hurt the most was adults that didn't get what I got. Like, people who didn't understand, people who would try and make it, adults who would try and make it okay by, you know, not mentioning that I was in foster care, or not, or trying to put sugar around stuff. And I'm like, I know this, I'm living this every day. Come and join me. Rather than standing in a safe place talking about it, stop doing things to me, do things with me. Because you can do things to people, for people, or with people. 2 children, 4 children, or with children. And the with is the bit that changes lives. So I put this together for myself, but it's turned out to be incredibly helpful for others as well. Let's look at the stages, because I want to see, where have you been and where are you now? The first stage is when, for me, I first found out about lockdown. There was this inkling of something that was happening in China that, is that got anything to do with us? And then when it happens, this kind of, it can't be happening. It can't be happening. And then a little bit of anger when I picked my son up from school. And as I was walking out, a year 6 girl walked past me, and she was saying to her friends, but if you don't finish year 6, can you even start year 7? And I just felt this rise of, like, they can't, it's their right. It's not a privilege education passage. It's a right. They can't have it. just, who am I can't be angry at anyone, it's no one's fault, but just, you know, flashes of anger. In that stage, that pink stage of shock, disbelief, kind of denial, we all do this for a lot of different things. If you stay there, you can be there, but if you stay there, that's victimhood. That's like the wounded child. There's nowhere to go from there. If you stay in that place, it's just pain and victimhood. So what's the next stage? The next stage is moving on to keep calm and carry on. Very British, blah, blah, blah. This is fantastic. I love this stage where you keep calm and you just get on with it. You just get your head down, get on with it. And you can do that for time. You can do that for time. If you stay there, you will burn out. And this is the thing about keep calm, carry on is it's a really safe place. We get to multitask. We get to do all our stuff. We get to do busy work, but we can end up being a busy fool. And if we do nothing but that, we burn out. Also in that stage are the hints of sadness and resignation. You know, and you wake up and you're like, what day is it? It doesn't matter, does it, what day it is? What am I doing tomorrow? Same as I did today. That kind of continuous. And then the resignation of this is how it's going to be. This is how it is. You know, back to normal isn't happening. It can be hard and it can kind of cause a lot of loss of energy, loss of mojo. If you stay in that stage, those two, the end, the extreme of that, I'm talking about extremes here, but the extreme is anxiety and depression dictating your decisions. So far, it's pretty grim. There are positives and negatives, but the biggest thing is the final stage of navigating chaos. And this stage is beautiful, but it requires an entire, not a mindset shift, a mindset transformation. This is where you step into acceptance, not begrudging acceptance, not resignate and, oh, well, God, yeah, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. Not that. Like renewed hope, embracing, going, you know what, this is what we have now. This is, I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to take responsibility for the things I am responsible for and for nothing else. I'm going to reframe. I'm going to stand where we are. And that leads to renewed hope. That leads to the, you know, golden crumpet. I think I'm making these metaphors up. The golden crumpet of being able to look forward without fear, but with hope and opportunity, and embracing what might come. And the reason I'm taking you through this is that it's not linear. You might go in and out of stages, back and forth, back and forth. You wake up one day, you're right back in denial, right back in anger. Like everyone who's going to Aldi on Friday, very much in denial because it's like nothing's happened anymore. We're all forgotten the 2 meter thing. So these are the stages of navigating chaos, the journey that we go through in very kind of simplistic form. Pop in the chat box, where are you now? Where are you this morning today? Let me tell you about acceptance and renewed hope. It looks different. People will tell you when you're in that stage because it looks different. So it's a journey to get to. But where do you think you are? Are you in the kind of first stage, pink stage, blue stage, keep calm and carry on? It's brilliant. There's no reason why you shouldn't be there. That's fantastic. Just don't stay there for the rest of your life because you'll collapse. So we've got acceptance, yeah, resignation from Joe, yeah, that's true. The blue stage, resignation, keep calm, carry on. Acceptance between blue and gold, and that's true. Do you know what? That's really insightful. Easily, that's what you've got as your name, because you will go back and forth. It's not I do this, then I feel this, and I feel you will go back and forth, fluctuating between keep calm, carry on, and acceptance. Oh yes, you get stuck there. I got stuck there for a while. Moving between acceptance and keeping calm, Ruth. Yeah. And with all of these, you know, you'll have a day when resignation and sadness tend to happen within that keep calm moment, because it's not physically possible for a human mind and body to just keep going. And yet we hold that as the highest standard. You know, we slag ourselves off if we haven't like done everything on our to-do list. But your to-do, why would you even have a to-do list? You're going to die with an unfinished to-do list. If that isn't the most depressing thing in the world. I gave up to-do lists years ago. I have a to-be list. Who do I want to be? That's my list. And then for my weekly stuff, I have a to-feel list. How do I want to feel after this meeting, after this dinner with my kids, after this day, after this week? How do I want to feel? And because I don't write bitter, twisted, angry, hateful, miserable, I don't want to feel like that. The things that I write down, the way I want to feel, that's what I move towards. And that means that instead of aiming for success all the time, I'm aiming for fulfillment. Or as I like to call it, an FFS life, fulfillment flavored success, not FFS, which is also a life I've experienced before. So these kind of 3 stages will help you get up and down in and out. And what I want to say to you is just, I mean, Anna, can we send these slides out? Or, I mean, take a photo of the screen, everyone. I'll do this. Or Anna will send the slides out, because it's just really helpful, not just for yourself, but for other people to say, look, where do you feel like you are? And the reason I've done like this is because where you are is not the end. It's not even a semicolon, let alone a full stop. It's part of a journey, and there are options available to get you towards the golden prize. So yeah, Lindsay says, can we send the slides out? Absolutely, you can have these.
Yeah, will do, no problem.
Yeah. Anna's on it. She's the hostess with the mostess. So Anna, slip us on to the next slide, please, for me. This has been, so I do this Human First course. I do like a course every 4 months. I do a coaching course. People join. It's a little video in the morning on the Monday, and then a live Zoom on Thursday for an hour. And I do coaching with whoever turns up. We take people through. So I was talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, how Maslow never meant it to be a piece of research. He just like came up with it on a whim. And then people started talking about it. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm not sure I've tested it totally. And as a result, lots of people say, oh, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. I think there's a lot to it. So I was talking about a kind of condensed version, and somebody nicknamed it Jaslow's hierarchy of needs. So this is what it looks like. And this came up with me trying to be the adult I needed when I was a child. And what I worked out is that there's only ever 3 things that need to happen before you can do life. And these are the 3 things. Obviously, people need to know they're safe. And there's so much uncertainty around safety at the moment. And the whole point is, rather than like, you know, I've been in touch with some parents and children who've been on lockdown so much, they're terrified to go out now and get schools opening up, but they don't want to go back. And really what you got to think about is, when we're being safe, this basic baseline of freedom from threat, neglect and abuse is non-negotiable for safety. But safe around COVID, it's about managing risk. So you can not aim to not get it and then stay on lockdown forever, or you can, like for me right now, would I go on a plane? No. Would I go to a restaurant? No. Am I going to go to the cinema? No. Am I going to go to a pub? No. Will I have, when we're allowed, a few people to my house who I see a lot? Yes, I probably will do that. Will they wash their hands and change their clothes when they come in? Yes, very probably. But it's like, I'm managing that risk rather than saying I'm not doing anything, no one's coming in. The government set their standards, which is not around my life. It's around, I don't know what it's around, the economy, the greater good, but it's not about me. I'm saying, how does that look for me? Because I'm taking responsibility for what I'm in control of, and I'm not taking responsibility for the stuff that I'm not. So being safe, most important thing. Safe being, I call it, because we don't have well-being anymore. It's just being. You don't have mental health. It's just health. If you've been locked up with your family for 10 weeks, you've all got mental health issues. I mean, we all need to tap into the intentional side of what we do rather than being on automatic the whole time. And that is about looking at your well-being and your mental health. Intentionality. That's my word for it. So being well is the basics, not being tired, hungry, cold, but also being well in your mind, in that you're in a good place, ready to go forward. If you're not in that place, there's no point in trying to go forward. These are the 2 things that people need. But the big one we need from everyone else is to be seen. As a kid, I worked out I needed 2 things. I needed someone to tell me it was okay to be me, and I was loved unconditionally. And it wasn't okay to be me, and I wasn't loved unconditionally. If I was loved, it was conditional. So those 2 kind of disrupting things made it very difficult to navigate a chaotic childhood. And that's what people need to know. It's okay to be you, and you're acknowledged, accepted, respected unconditionally by at least a few people. They're the most important things. When these 3 are in place, go do life. Go find a cure for cancer, or COVID if you're going to look for a cure. Go, change the world. Go and hang out with people you like or people you don't like. Do what you like. But these are the 3 things that enable us to be functioning at a human level in order to bring about change. So thinking about this for yourself, alongside that you can do things to people, for people, or with people. 2 people is bare minimum. 4 people is great if people know you're for them. It's not enough that you know you're for someone. How do I know you're for me? So lots of leaders, when I coach leaders, are talking about, these people in school are going out, or these parents coming in, chucking the kids in, effing and jeffing in the reception. And I'm like, okay, fine. Do they know that you're for them? And the head will say, well, they know they're not supposed to swear. Yeah, but do they know you're for them? Well, they know they're supposed to come to meet it. Yeah, do they know that you're for them? Because that's the real question. Because if you're not for me, if I don't know that you're for me, why would I trust you? That would be stupid. That would be insane. That would be insane for me to hand over complete trust to you and loyalty when I don't know that you're for me. So the biggest thing we can do now is stand with people. In the recent thing with George Floyd, there's lots of videos going around, and one amazing video was this white police officer in Genesee, sounds like Tennessee, black protesters, and he went into the middle and he said, listen, let's turn this protest into a parade. Like, we are for you, we're with you. Every police officer here is with you. Every police officer loves you. That guy there, he hugs people. So what do you need? What do you need? We're with you. And then this amazing moment happened where like a few voices and then everyone, unplanned, just from the heart said, walk with us. Walk with us. And the police officer said, right, let's do it. And then they all walked together. That's the power of with. So my kind of mantra is, if you need help, make a request. Take responsibility for what you're responsible for. If you don't need help, then go help someone else. And during this time, if we're all following those 2 infant teacher rules, then we'll be able to get a bit further. I know that we're talking about how do we respond in a new normal, what do we do? But what most people want to do is they want to go from, like for me, they're suffering, surviving, thriving, being alive, driving change. And what I see people who want to help do is we go from suffer to driving change. And we're like the wounded child trying to heal it. We're broken and we're trying to heal everyone else. Do the work. Do the work on yourself, because all the time, these kids are watching you like video cameras. You are a waggle. What a good one looks like. So we need to do the work, which brings me very nicely on to my next slide, the work. This is beautiful. I love this slide. So this is a little strategy for you to use. Anna, if you flick me over, that'd be really helpful. This strategy is really helpful for you to use when you're planning your week or your day or your time or whatever. I use this with my family. I use it with clients. I use it with work. And the idea is we all have 5 gears. So as I'm going through these gears, I want you to think, what's the gear that you are most drawn to? What gear do you spend the most time in? As soon as you hear it, write it in the box. What gear do you spend the most time in? It's the easiest gear for you to get into. So we've got 5th gear, which is focus mode, where you're on it. Blinkers, you're writing something, no noise, no distractions, getting it done. That's focus mode. Task mode, it's like multitasking. 4th gear is where you're doing an email, and then one of your kids comes and asks you where the Jaffa cakes are, and you tell them, and then someone else wants, and then the phone rings, then you get a text, and then you follow it, and then a new multitasking. It's kind of it's a thing. Social mode, 3rd gear, is kind of the stuff like where we used to go out for dinner or go to the pub or go bowling, where you chat with people, and it's not deep and meaningful particularly. It's kind of fun. It's a social connection. And when you were at work and you had physical connection, social mode happened all the time, because you walk into the toilet, someone's there, you start talking about hair straighteners. But when you don't have physical proximity, social mode could be quite hard, because you've got to force it. You've got to connect with people in a different way. But this is kind of chatting, nattering, my nan would say. Connect mode, 2nd gear, is a bit deeper than that. Grace is already 4th. Connect mode. I like your decisivity, Grace. Connect mode is where you're having a deep and meaningful conversation. It's like where you focus on your child and have an actual conversation with them, where you're listening. You're not typing emails while they're telling you about Pokemon. You put your laptop down and you turn to them and you engage. It's the sort of conversation where afterwards you sort of go, wow. It's a little bit of soul surgery there. It's a deep connection. 1st gear, recharge. Now look, we're all going to recharge differently, but I'm like extroverts and introverts recharge slightly differently. Introverts like to take things on and think about it. Extroverts like to say things out loud and take action. So, but if you don't recharge, if you don't put time aside to recharge, I mean, you don't really care. If you're not recharging yourself, you don't, because if you cared, you'd be taking care of yourself so you could do more. If you don't care, you don't care about your impact. So recharge is critical, and it's a difficult one for us. The last gear, response mode. This is when you've been an idiot and you need to say sorry. Life would be easier if we all visited reverse now and again. So which one do you find the most, do you slip into without really thinking about it? Which one's the easiest one for you to access? Lots of people have got 4th. Oh, Tiff says 4th, but over lockdown 1st. I know, isn't it glorious? Isn't it glorious? 3rd gear, social mode, yeah, lots of 4th gear, usually trying to change into 2nd. If you had a car, Claire, and you were going from 4th to 2nd, you'd knacker it out. Do the gears, girl, do the gears. Trying to concentrate more on 2nd and 4th. Okay, 4th is coming up too much. David said first. Oh, David, I've got an image of you now laying down as you are on this Zoom. Because like any chance I get to recharge, let's do it. Okay, tell me now which gear you find nigh on impossible. Like you can't even imagine the validity of living that way. Like it's so inaccessible to you. You're like, I don't even. Tell me which gear is just like, yeah, can't do that. No words. Surprise, surprise. Nikki says first. So does Alex. Deborah, yep, recharge, charge. Oh, surprise, surprise. 2 hot. Yeah, you know, Rebecca, 2 can be tricky. 2 can be tricky because you've got to give yourself away. Recharge, 1st and 3rd, 1st and 5th. Oh yeah, I'm with you, Claire. 1st and 5th. Yeah, extremes. For someone who's quite extreme, I struggle with the extremes. 2, 5th. I'm always aware of what's going on around me. Now, these gears, I've got like a 4-week course on this one slide. So I'm trying to condense it here. What I would suggest is a fully functioning human who is living a fulfillment flavored life spends time in all of these gears. You don't have to spend time in all of those gears every day. But for me, I am a natural 4th gearer, right? And if I don't plan in recharge, my 4th gear story that I tell myself is you've got to keep going. You've got to keep doing it because all these people need you. You've got to keep. And I just get bitter and angry and resentful and I withdraw. Then I do nothing and I feel awful and I feel like it's like I plan in fire breaks of this period. Every 1 week in every 4, I plan in a week where I don't take meetings and I don't have clients. I'm still working, but I just need the fire break because if it all gets too much, I know I've got that there. I am consistently inconsistent with staying on top of stuff. So I have to give myself, I'm human hacking myself using these gears so I know where I am. But not just that. This is my family. My family runs on this. So last night, Ed said, shall we watch a movie or shall we do like 2nd gear? Shall we just sit and chat? I'm like, yeah, let's do 2nd gear. So we can frame it. Like my kids will come up to me. My 8-year-old says to me, okay, when you've finished in 4th gear, I need you in 5th gear with me. And so my children use this language because it just frames where we are and what we're doing. My suggestion would be that the gear that you spend the most time in serves you because you can function in that gear, but it's also accidental. It's an automatic choice. And what I want you to consider is the power of intentionality, being intentional about where you invest time, how you invest time, where you show up, where you plan to show up. And I'm talking as a textbook ENFP here in Myers-Briggs terms, textbook kind of all over the place, doing everything, ideating all the time. There is freedom in constraint for me. And I think being able to kind of level out and judge where I'm going to be, certainly with family, certainly with teams, this is something I use with my team all the time, is really, really helpful. So I'm not saying, you know, the gear that you find hardest, plan that to be happening at some point this week. Mine's 1st gear. I literally, at the beginning of this, I don't get, like my husband is very introverted. 1st gear for him is he'll sit and look out the window. I don't even know what he's doing. I mean, he's just, I've no, I can't get around. So I've tried to like, okay, I can go for walks. I quite like that. Quite like being in nature. But 1st gear is an alien language to me that I've had to learn. It's like Klingon. Makpacha. I don't even know if that is Klingon. I'm just saying stuff that might sound Klingon. Hopefully there's no Klingon experts on the call. Now, this is so good. Anna, switch to the next slide. This is so good. Was that a Klingon joke? Karis, was that Klingon? Did I open it so derogatory and Klingon by mistake? I should really learn a few Klingon words. Okay, so this is a free gift. Get your phone out right now. Do not wait for the slides. Get your phone out or get a pen. Be analog. Write down giant.tv/jazz. Write it down because I'm about to drop all of your birthdays and all of your Christmases on you at once. This is awesome. So my mate, Steve Cockram, who's a Myers-Briggs expert, put together, loves all the kind of personality tests, you know, and comes out as an animal and a colour. But he says, what does this mean for communication, for connection, for teams, for families? What does it mean knowing you're a series of letters if you don't know what other people are and you can't meet them where they are? Because that's what we're talking about. And this tool enables you to do exactly that. It is a human hacking tool. The idea is we are all 5 voices. You can speak all 5 voices, but the order of voices that you speak in will dictate what it's like to be on the other side of you, when you're at your best, what to do when you're tired. I mean, all this insightful stuff that can actually help you achieve, stuff that gets in the way. Oh, I'm too this, I'm too that, all that stuff can be navigated using these voices, especially in teams and families. And it works from about 13, 14 up, because before then there's so much change going on. But the reason I like it is, oh gosh, again, I've got a course on this coming up, so I'm trying to condense it. The reason I like it is there's nature, nurture, and choice all at play. And all of us, even if you've got the same voice order as someone else, you've got this unique mixture of nature, nurture, and choice all at play. So your nature is, you know, who you actually are, who you are, left to your own devices. Nurture is the nurture you've had, and the choice is the choices you make. As someone who was a girl interrupted, so my nature was probably quite suppressed because nurture was non-existent, and so the nurture had quite a negative response. That can skewer the kind of how you deal with things. And voice order allowed me to get back to nature and look at the choices I'd made. So nurture wasn't the narrative. It's like my past wasn't a script for my future for this moment, which I can't, I mean, you'll know if you've been through any sort of altering experience, that's the greatest gift. It meant I could be human first. So there's 5 different voices. I'm going to go through them really quickly, but if you go to this, that link, you can actually take this assessment for free. It takes 10 minutes. You've got to use my link, so you get it for free. And then it will come up with all these videos about you recorded by someone with the same voice order as you. The videos are 2 minutes each. It's like binge watching a story of yourself. It's beautiful. Nurturers, most of the population, 43% of the population are nurturers. They're very quiet, they're not quiet as people, their voice level is quiet. Like in a meeting, they would never be the first one to shout up. They're very concerned with relational harmony and how people are, very present focused. Creatives, amazing for ideating and having ideas, and integrity. Not always the clearest. Nurturers always think they're the worst. They're not, you know, always got imposter syndrome. Creatives think they're being really clear when they say an idea. And often it's so off the shazam, no one gets it. And then a week later, someone else will voice the same idea and everyone will go, that's amazing. And the creative will go, yeah, I said that a week ago. And everyone will be like, you so didn't say it. So creatives, amazing. My husband's got this first voice. And I often say to him, babe, NCN, which stands for there is no clear narrative to what you're saying. Guardians, you cannot function without a guardian in your organization or family. They're awesome. Guardians actually are structured and systematic, and they serve people through making sure systems are in place. But can you imagine if you have a guardian and a creative as a CEO and CFO trying to organize something for business? You know, the creative's like, oh, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And the guardian's like, we haven't got enough chairs. So there's a real clash. Both of them want the same thing. The guardian doesn't want to bring bad news, but the way they serve is unique to their voice order. A connector is someone who they have so many friends and they always know someone who could do something. They got off on connecting resources to people and people to people. And if they believe in something, you're buying it. They're not salespeople, but they get so passionate about something that you can't help but go, yay, let's all move to Poland. Why are we moving to Poland? I don't know, but it's good. Pioneers, cute, cuddly pioneers. These people are just very good at strategy, okay? And the negatives, all these has a negative side. But pioneers are so good at strategy, sometimes they forget that strategy requires people. So they're not always the they're opposite to nurturers, put it that way. So a nurturer and a pioneer make a great team if they can hear each other. Also, there's levels of maturity. You know, you could be an immature pioneer and take people out at 90 paces, or you can be a mature pioneer where you know how to bring out the best in others. So from that brief description, I want you to write down which do you think is your first voice. And this is just hazarding a guess. Don't assume, take the assessment, because it will give you a really amazing insight into things that you can do to navigate yourself and others. It's like that movie with Eddie Murphy where there's a little man inside. Is it called Dave? There's people inside an alien spaceship is a human. Now I think I might have dreamt this. There's a human, right? Eddie Murphy. And inside, he's a spaceship, right? And I might have made this up. I think there's people inside. Right? I've started off on something that I'm not even sure is a thing. So let's just put a pin in that for now. What I'm saying is this will help you hack yourself and hack others. And it's a critical tool, not just for now, but for all conversations we have around diversity, around inclusion, around everything, disadvantage, everything. So we've got a few nurturers, surprise, surprise, nurturer, guardian. Alexander, that is such a great combination. Nurturer, guardian. Oh my gosh, take the assessment. Tell me what you are. Vicky is a nurturer. Oh, hey, Vicky. Guardian, nurturer, guardian. Oh my gosh, we're all nurturer guardians. Come on, where's the pioneer? Come on, there's a pioneer in this group somewhere. Nurturer guardians, take take the assessment, because for nurturers and guardians, both those first voices are very present focused. So this is an incredibly difficult time, more difficult for you than it is for me as a connector first voice, because, and my kind of choices and nurture around change and chaos, because you're very concerned with, and in this time when there's no certainty, there's only uncertainty, this can be a really challenging time for you. So do take the assessment and find out some insights on that. Deb, Guardian Pioneer. Oh my gosh, so powerful. Oh, so next slide, Anna. While we jump on, I'm trying to get through everything. Yes, this is our last slide, and then we'll do Q&A. This is fun. Shall we? Do you want to come around mine afterwards and have some pancakes? Actually, you can't come around. You stand outside, and I'll throw them out the window. So last thing, I do through lockdown every month. I'll be doing a course, which is what I've talked about, a bit of content on. It's like it takes 10 minutes. If you can't find 10 minutes for yourself, you found me at the right time. But after I do these webinars, lots of people want to ask me questions and have conversations, and I'm very mindful of my own time and my own energy. I've got 3 kids, so I'm only working till 1 every day, and I take Wednesdays off, don't tell anyone. So I'm very mindful of how I manage my time. So previously, when I was traveling a lot, I would fire off text messages, tweets, DMs. I don't do that now. But what I do is I gather people together and say, we're going to go through human first. We're going to go through leading yourself and leading others, being intentional. So this is the course around that. That's where it is at the moment. You can go visit that link, have a look at it. There's a discount for anyone who has done any of my courses. So if it's something that you want to do, then by all means do. If that's not live, it's been recorded and done. I'm starting another one that's live, but you can have access to that if and when you need to. There's a code, Anna, you need to send out to everyone to get 20% off. And the code is Generation C, but it's written Gen C. I'm going to put it in the chat. GENC20. Ta-da! That gives you 20% off. But I mean, have a look. And if it's useful, I mean, people have just found it amazing. If it's useful, do it. If not, I'm doing 2 more talks with you. But I'm aware that in the short time I've got, I want to get you to a point where you've got quick wins that you could take away and start using. So towards that, our next 2 sessions, I am designing them around your response from this session. So you tell me your challenges and I will come up with stuff that will help you take the next step. You know, at the beginning, I talked about stories. We are always only ever a collection of stories. And I have amazing stories because I've had amazing people, not perfect people, not people who got everything right, but people who knew why they were in the room. They knew why they were there. And the decisions they make stemmed off that purpose, that lighthouse of values that they held. And that's how I learned to be a phenomenal human. So it's not about getting it right. It's about knowing what to do when you don't know what to do. And the beauty of things going wrong is that you get to reframe and you get to embed ambitious resilience. You get to be a resilience ninja. The beauty of things not going exactly how you planned is that you can discover stuff that you would have skirted over before. And you're having an amazing experience of living the same experience that the people you serve, the children you lead, that's been their narrative for as long as they can remember. So for me, this is a gift. There is, you know, there's lots of stuff going on and people are losing lives, and I understand all that. And also I know I'm not affected. So for me, this is a huge inconvenience, but that's all it is. You know, it's like I'm not being forced out of my home. I haven't got no food. I'm not having to navigate 20 miles of ocean with my kids in a boat. This is an inconvenience, but that's it. So I want to take this time and I want to make sure that I live my life in a way that future me, that 2025 Jazz is going to look back at now and go, you know what? That's exactly what I would have done with the resources I had at the time. And that's the success that we want to look for. So I hope some of this has been useful, and we're going to open it to question and answers now. So Anna, do you want to flick us on to being human-sized, sort of?
Ooh, human-sized, real people.
Human-sized. Brush your hair, love. Brush your hair first. But yeah, if you stop sharing screen, I've still got, let me have a look, gallery view. Oh, it's just me at the moment. Hello. But yeah, questions. Anna, it says you're talking, but I can't hear you.
Oh, says that. Oh, I'm now talking. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. I suppose I'm going to start the questions straight away because I think one of them's popped into my head straight away, and I know that one of the things I've really grappled with all the way through lockdown is the beautiful world of just not always knowing how do I navigate my way through what is currently I'm being experiencing. So it's very much about, I'm feeling quite overwhelmed as a whole at a certain point, and where do I start? What's the first thing that I should do? What do you think, Jazz?
Yeah, it's tricky, and overwhelm. It's like I always feel like overwhelm. It's like imposter syndrome. I want to get rid of it altogether. There's no point if you're never overwhelmed. What's the opposite? Being underwhelmed, being whelmed. I mean, I'm not against being overwhelmed, because I want to be overwhelmed with like gratitude, overwhelmed with joy. Overwhelm isn't a bad thing. It's our response to overwhelm that shuts us down. And often the shutdown is because we don't have the answer. So your amygdala in your brain is like, you know, our movies always, there's a hero and he has a problem, there's lots of tension, then in the end he solves the problem, and then the movie's over. And we know that's going to be the case every time. But our amygdala is like, wants to close the story loop. So if something happens, if there's trauma or an unanswered question, the amygdala, because your brain uses calories to think, and your brain is like, oh, I want to preserve calories. So it just wants to close the story loop and then go. So it's the fight or flight thing, but let's work this out. This is the answer, and then go. So overwhelm fights against our natural instinct to get order. And so what we tend to do if we can't find an answer is say the easiest answer is, it's your fault. It's me. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So, but our amygdala will settle for that. Our amygdala's like, fine, great, you're not good enough, let's move on. But when that happens again and again and again, suddenly you end up, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible human. And you get overwhelmed more and more. So the idea with overwhelm is not to kind of fight it or give into it, but just welcome it and embrace it and go, okay, that's a sign of my brain going too much. Now, I can't give any of my kids away because we've tried that and I think it might be illegal. So I can't get rid of my husband because that would take a long time. Divorce takes forever. I can't just close down my business, because that actually I could actually if I push came to. What's the smallest thing I can do right now for me? Just the smallest next step. Not rejigging my entire life, not beating myself up because I haven't, that reflection time where you just slag yourself off for an hour. What's the smallest next step that I can take right now? That's where the gears are really useful. I know if I plan those 5 gears in at least over a week, then I won't get overwhelmed. I won't sink in depression. My baseline is depression, always. But it's just I have structures and strategies and resources in place to make sure I don't go there. So I've got 5 things I do every day. And if I don't do all of those 5 things, I am open to being overwhelmed and depressed. That's how I work, consistently and consistent. So these 5 things are the things that I've worked out that I do. And then if I do them, it will keep me away from that. So this is what I mean about hacking ourselves. We think we're unique because we're overwhelmed. It's like human condition, love. Some people are better at hiding it than others. That's the only thing. Some people get overwhelmed and just turn everything off and go, oh well, and then just walk off. And there's different ways of dealing with it. But I think the thing is for me all the time is smallest next step. Smallest. It's not about being finished. It's not about finding the answer. Smallest next step. Because that's what I'd say if it was my 8-year-old. That's the kindness that I would do if it was my child. So if I can be kind to someone that I gave birth to, surely I can find a bit of kindness for myself.
Yeah, maybe that's one of Anna's takeaways from today. That maybe it's something I just need to be a bit kinder to myself. But not everybody has different strategies, don't they? And we're not all the same in that kind of what we choose. What my strategy is not necessarily the same for everybody else. As we've already alluded to, the fact that Anna did get up and do her rowing this morning, and the fact that you didn't get up and do your rowing, you got up and ate a biscuit. We're all different, and that's the beauty of actually. One of the things I've really appreciated about lockdown is the fact that I've spent more time in my garden, and invariably that's because I've just taken 5 minutes to step out physically and stop. Yeah. And that's what I need to do. I'm better off stopping when I'm outside than I am anywhere else. So maybe one of the positives of lockdown is around recognizing what we need to do for us as individuals.
You know what? And let me bring Caris and Rebecca in here. So Rebecca said that she got limited time of the year 10s and want to make it count doing group mental health session. What can we do? And Caris has got the answer. I reckon our young people really benefit from seeing adults process being overwhelmed, especially at this time. Caris, give yourself a celebratory sandwich. This is the central tenant message of everything. Right now, the worst thing that we can do is go back. Like, imagine this. Me and Anna, we haven't seen each other for 6 months, right? Really good friends. I bump into Anna in Sainsbury's. I'm never in Sainsbury's. It's a freak of nature. I say to Anna, how are you doing? She says, oh, yeah, I'm fine. I've had cancer, but I'm all right now. And I say, oh, you're all right now. Great. Have you seen this offer they've got on the Nando's chicken? I'm like ignoring the fact that Anna thought she was going to die and has had to work through that. But just because right now she doesn't have cancer, everything is fine. And I think that's what I see when I see the talk around schools getting back to normal, rebuilding. Why do you want to rebuild a system that nearly killed you the first time round? You want to redefine, not rebuild. So when we're talking about the kindest thing, the thing I needed the most is to see people who are stuck working through stuckness, not to see people go, right, we're here, let's do the bus stop method for long division. Who first causes the First World War? No. I don't want to catch up. I want to know that it's okay to feel like this. I want to know that this is normal. I want the story loop closed here, because this generation are going to be taking this story of uncertainty into their future. I want the loop closed. I want to see people who are older than me, have had more experience of being on the planet, saying, I'm scared, I'm not sure. And that's the truth. And I will still show up here every day for you. You know why? Because what I do know is that the 3 R's of resilience are: you take responsibility for what you can control and you leave the rest. You reach out and ask for people for help, and you dream bigger. You reach out beyond what you believe is possible and dream bigger, and you reframe. You reframe every experience around the experience that you're going to take, learn from, and stand on next time. And that's why, even though I'm uncertain and I've struggled, and sometimes I slip back into resignation and sadness, I'm still here. I will show up for you every day because I am with you and we're going to get through this together. That's a compelling message, but it requires vulnerability. Everybody wants authenticity. Nobody wants vulnerability, because vulnerability sucks. Well, if you have authenticity on your own, nothing else, you get Donald Trump. He is so authentic. People keep getting their knickers in a twist. Like a headline that says racist man says something racist. That's not a headline. That's to be expected. Donald Trump has never said that he's a fan of gay people or women or disabled people. He's completely authentic, but he has no vulnerability. Even when he mentions the word weakness, if you watch him talk, he will spit it out. That's what extreme authenticity looks like. I'm talking about professional vulnerability, personal authenticity. I'm talking about being human first. And that is one of the greatest gifts we could do. And the biggest loss would be that we go into a situation with students and you just pretend everything. I'm laughing because I think in therapy, that is the thing that took longest for me to process, and that I struggled with right up until, what am I now, 48, 46. Struggling with that, people not being honest. Like people, like you saying and doing one thing and thinking and feeling somewhere else. It's so unsettling and disruptive. I felt the superficiality made me feel so nervous. And I knew people did it out of kindness and trying to do the right thing, but they were in to mode, doing things to me, not with me. So the with is like, yes, it's okay not to be okay. And like the 3 stages of chaos navigation, but keep going. Smallest next step to get to the next stage, because what's at the bottom is where you can reframe really quickly. So that's why the journey is important. But I honestly, Caris, just exactly, yes, tick, 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 ding, 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 ding. You do all the other webinars. You are, oh my gosh, you're my hero of the webinar. Sorry, rant over. Gosh.
No, but completely justified, isn't it? Because it's the right thing. And I think what everybody's saying in the chat is reflecting that, no, we agree. We definitely agree. I suppose one of the things is we just want to keep conveying that to young people, but making sure that it feels authentic enough that they know how we're feeling. And actually, that right now that is normal, and that's okay. So yeah, no, quite agree. Keep those questions coming in, folk, in terms of if you want us to kind of things that you want us to pick up and talk about. I suppose the only other thing that, and this is kind of reflecting a bit in terms of the virtual school team and kind of all of us battling new roles, new ways of working, is around I don't know about you, but I have just found it so hard at points to just get a young person to focus right now on what I want them to do. So getting into that focus gear, getting them into the right state for however long, I'm not actually even worried about how long, just getting them to that focus gear when I really need them to. How do I do that?
I love you. Do you know what? First of all, we should get our own TV show. I'm sure there's a space on Netflix, because we're like the female Ant and Dec. We're Ant and Dec with breasts. That's what we are. But yes, what should we do now? And this is interesting, because even in the question, Anna, and I know lots of people ask this, even in the question, can you hear who it's about? It's like, I want these children, when I need them to, what can I do to? It's all about us.
Yeah.
Now, the focus might be because you're really boring and the PlayStation is there. That might be the issue. It might be because they haven't had anything to eat that day and you've scheduled a meeting for 8 o'clock, which is already, because they're 16 and we're not going to do this. It might be because they're so anxious around what's happening. They're in a moment of, they've gone right back to anger and denial. And that right now, this priority doesn't feel like a priority to them. And so while I want there to be a magic wand that says, do you know what, education is important, get with the program, guys. Yeah, it is. But the Jaslow's hierarchy of needs, being safe, being well, being seen, that's when people can focus easier. If they know they're safe, they know they're in that moment, they know they're safe, they know they're well, they know they're seen, and the seen is the big one, then focus is much more easily. Because it's the idea, it's that whole thing of meeting people where they are rather than where you wish they were or where you need them to be. So even when we're just teaching, this is us, and this is them, us and them. So this is us as a student. We are the expert in, I don't know, maths or something. Not me, but we're the expert in maths, and we want to explain a concept to this child. So what we do is we dumb it down as much as possible, make it really simple. We get to here. We were on a 10, now we're on a 7. The kid's still on a 0. So our 7 is not helping them at all. But to us, it's a huge drop down. And that in an academic subject is hard. And what we do is that we chunk it down and down and down, but we're still coming from this position. The only thing we can do is get off number 10, forget maths, forget it all, go and stand next to this child, this student, and look at things from their perspective. And then you find that common ground as to meet them where they are. Because when people feel seen and heard and understood, instant loyalty. But when that's not in play, and it's, you know, I think what's difficult is it's not necessarily what you do or what you say, it's the way you do and the way you say. So it's what you think and feel. That's why I keep saying to people, sort your story out yourself. If you want to be an instrument of change for other people, you've got to do the work inside yourself. Come from a position. I know we find it hard to get into vulnerability. I know that, and yet we've all been thrust into vulnerability, and nobody dropped down dead. Obviously, unless they got ill. No one is like spontaneously combusted because suddenly they had to be quite vulnerable. You know, 3 months ago, if someone had walked in when I was doing a Zoom, the world would have stopped. But now I'm like, yeah, I've got kids and I'm at home. So things are going to go wrong. All right. I'm not going to lock my kids in a cupboard so that you feel that I'm more professional. We're all in the same boat here. And that's important because I am meeting you where you are. I've actually got quite a nice posh backdrop where I give presentations and stuff, but I don't want to use that because other people don't have that in their house. And I want to make people feel that we're in the same place because we are, so that they can hear and kind of, move on forward from it. So I get it. When I'm thinking that I want you to focus, I also want to live in Santa Monica with Vicky Martin, but we don't always get what we want. That's the solid down truth. But if they know that you are for them and with them and you've seen them, things are going to go a lot smoother. So it's so hard because we've still got stuff that needs doing, but where they are looking out is always going to give you a smallest next step to do with them.
Yeah, and I think that kind of picks up what people are saying in the chat in terms of actually we are all battling with it. And I think probably one of the things that I recognise is I know I'm not alone with battling with the delights of home learning. It's hard. I'm not disputing that. It's really hard. And I'm a teacher, for goodness sake, so I should know what I'm doing. Battling with home learning against work, against other deadlines. Yeah, it knowing when to stop and recognizing, oh, actually, hang on a minute, I just need to see right now that actually that young person needs a bit of my time over and above anything else is more important.
Human first. And that Michelle and Claire are both talking in the chat about that finding it hard, working from home, giving your 7-year-old attention they need and deserve, and switching from mum to wife to professional to, whatever, fandango dancer. And all of this, again, like going into lockdown and shutting everything down and having all your kids at home and working is the equivalent to someone saying to me, Jaz, we need you to do brain surgery in 2 days' time, and here's a YouTube video. I mean, I pity the person I'm operating on, because it's going to be a bit of a mess. But we put these expectations up there, and I, as someone who is a mum and is professional and has run my business from my phone for the last like 10 years, I work like this. I'm very transient. I'm a remote worker. I don't work from home even. I'm a remote worker. I understand that journey of, you know, when you're in each mode, and that's where the gears have been really helpful for me, because I'm very much how it works for me, and it might not be for others, is that I'm either being a mum or I'm working. I can't do both at the same time. It's like trying to teach a pig to sing. It stresses you out and it makes the pig angry. So I don't try and do both. Not that my 8-year-old is a pig, but you should see him eat. But I know doing both at the same time drains me of everything. And I start using the should word. Should, I should be. No, should. I change that for I would like to. I would like to spend quality time with my kids. I would also like to earn the money to pay my mortgage. I would like to, and actually, because when you put those together, you're like, so what does that look like? And the biggest problem I see is people trying to do what they did before in a new world. Why would we? It's like saying we're only going to use stone wheels. We're not going to use tires, because the stone wheel was all right. That was invented. That worked okay. We're going to go with that. Things are different. You can't work full time and be a full-time parent. I mean, it's just, you need a body double. So what does it look like? And what does it look like? Because our kids, all of our kids, the ones we serve, the one we gave birth to, the one we adopted, they're not going to remember the detail of this. They're not going to remember the R number at any particular date. What they will remember, the story they will tell, is how you were, is how you showed up. That's what they'll remember. And if you showed up, you know, stressed and anxious, and you may think you're not, but if you're feeling that kids are like lie detectors. They can read that on your
absolutely
to the point where it's oozing out of you. That's what will be remembered. Yeah. So yeah, I just think, you know, I can indulge in guilt for not being with my child, or I can remind myself that in gears, I've got my gears mapped out for him, and I say, right, family gears, this is where we do focus time, a multitasking time in the morning. In the afternoon time, we could do social and connect. And so that's how we plan our days. And, you know, if my child, this whole thing about our kids we need to catch up with what? Is there one kid in the UK that's been taught all the way through and is a super genius, and we all need to be the same as them? You can't catch up if everyone's stopped. Schools are amazing. They will meet kids where they are and take them forward. Right now, it's about their well-being, mental health, and their ability to be seen. And it's not doing it to them. It's not doing it for them. It's doing it with them by modeling it and living into that human first, intentional way of life ourselves. That's how we get through this, together or not at all.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, I'm kind of aware of time, so unfortunately I know we're going to have to come to a point where we're going to stop. So what we're going to do now is just going to move towards a few poll questions that we'd just like a bit of a response from everybody, in terms of giving us a little bit of feedback and starting to help us think about what next and what we need to do. And in addition to that, if you want to put in the chat, you want to write something in terms of telling us, could we do more of, please can you do that in the chat? That would be much appreciated, especially if you want Jaz to particularly tweak her session for next time. She has ideas, but she wants to be influenced by us and what we need that to be. Okay, so what we're going to have now is some poll questions should appear on your screen. She says pressing a button. I'm now hoping that that is in the case. So you've got several questions that you just scroll through, click on, and give us some feedback. I'm going to stop talking because there's nothing more annoying than somebody trying to read when you are trying to think at the same time.
God, this is fun. I like this.
This grows quick, doesn't it? Wow.
We should do elections like this. Get everyone on. Be much quicker.
Can we do it without a massive campaign beforehand as well? That would be even better.
You do some rowing, I'll have a biscuit. We'll turn up, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely superb. Brilliant. Okay, as some of you are just kind of finishing that off, I just want to kind of just bring today to a bit of a close before I hand back to Jaz, in terms of just giving us a final few things that she wants to say in terms of us going away to think about. I know that probably I've probably got 3 actions I'm going to take away from today. First of all is going to be never give up on the world of Zoom. Those of you that are in the virtual school that know that we are on this wonderful journey and starting out, it's been quite a journey to get to today, but actually we haven't given up and we've got there. So big thank you to everybody involved, including Mark, our IT today, in terms of giving us that additional support. Another thing I'm going to take away is about the fact that maybe I need to stop and press that reframe button a bit more. In terms of just making sure I take my team along with me at the same time. And then I think I'm gonna print off Jaz's hierarchy in terms of I need that picture in my head all of the time in terms of as I kind of go forward in the next few weeks. I've got one other thank you to do in terms of thanking Jaz very much in terms of being part of it, because we wouldn't be here without you, Jaz, so thank you so much for coming back to work with us. But most of all, thank you to everybody in terms of that they're here and is part of this, in terms of the impact that you're having on our young people. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much for being part of this. We will be in touch in terms of sending you some a short survey to do around an evaluation. It'll just be a quick email, and we'd really appreciate your feedback, and we will see you on the 7th of July for the next session. All right then, Jaz, I'm going to end that polling now, and then I'm going to hand it back to you in terms of giving us a final word.
Thank you. I think a few people said that they couldn't get the poll or it disappeared before they did it. So, I mean, if you didn't get through the poll, the evaluation will give you a chance to say stuff. And thank you to everyone who was saying, yep, it's great, it's outstanding. That's brilliant. Thank you for that. That serves me in knowing that I've hit the host. I'm really interested in people who feel like, do you know what, there wasn't really what I needed, or this, I really needed to lean into this a bit more. That's the sort of stuff I want to know about, because I can sit here and look glamorous, you know, it's not making a difference to me. I want to make sure that there is enough for everyone to take away. And it's a hard job, but if there's something that you think, you know what, this is what's missing, or this is what I want, or this is a particular challenge I'm facing, then share that too, because all of that will help and make sure that the next session and the one after that will be tailored around how to get you from your current reality to a future vision of where you want things to be, not just for yourself, but for the children you serve, for the communities you're in, for the families that you live in. So do make sure that you get stuff back to that. Thank you to everyone who's saying it's thought-provoking and an inspiration and outstanding. That's marvelous. That's absolutely brilliant. If you can be specific as well with the feedback from Anna and say, look, this in particular is helpful, because I design all these tools based around what you need. So as soon as you let Anna know some stuff, we'll be back again. And then I think we should, who do we see about booking the O2? Who do we see about being a comedy duo? We could be the new Mel and Sue. Oh my gosh. I feel a career ahead of us.
Whole new way of working.
Whole new way of working. But thank you so much to everyone who's joined in, to Katie, bless you, an hour in my company every morning. Yeah, lots of biscuits though. It's not always that healthy. I think you need to spend an hour with Anna and do it like alternate so that you get a healthy aspect as well. But yeah, just thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for being you and showing up as your whole self. It makes the biggest difference. Thank you.
Take care, folks. We'll see you on the 7th.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. We've had a fantastic session. We seem to have all really enjoyed the fact that Jaz has now made us all feel like we now can be more resilient and positive in the way that we look forward to the future. We will now see you on the 7th of July. We very much look forward to the double act returning at 11 o'clock. See you soon.